Have you ever felt trapped in a cycle of pain, unable to let go emotionally of someone who seems always present in your mind and life? Being stuck in an emotional attachment can make you feel dependent, even imprisoned, unable to move toward the peace and stability you so desperately need. Imagine living every day with a constant feeling of emptiness and anxiety, always waiting for the next message, the next contact, a sign to make you feel secure. But it never comes. This type of attachment not only robs you of peace, it also affects your relationships, self-esteem and self-image. It's like giving someone control over your happiness, allowing them to change your emotions at any moment, leaving you in a constant state of vulnerability. But there is a way to break those chains. Inspired by the ancient philosophy of Stoicism, we're going to explore how you can free yourself from this attachment through timeless principles. These steps will not only guide you toward emotional independence, but they will also teach you to strengthen your character and find peace within yourself without relying on anyone else. Stay with us until the end to discover, step by step, how each of these Stoic rules can transform your life and free you emotionally. This video could be the beginning of the emotional freedom and clarity you have always sought. In a world with so many distracting voices, this space seeks to help you reconnect with yourself. If you value that opportunity and want to inspire others to discover their inner strength, give us a like and subscribe. Each click helps spread this Stoic wisdom further. Without further ado, let's get started. Rule number 1. Understand the nature of attachment. To free yourself emotionally from someone, the first step is to understand the nature of attachment deeply. In Stoicism, attachment is seen as an emotional trap, an illusion we build around a person, a situation, or a desire, believing our peace and happiness depend on it. This concept can be challenging to grasp because attachment often disguises itself as love or necessity. But in reality, attachment is a manifestation of the ego and our own insecurities, something Stoicism invites us to recognize and transcend. Attachment stems from the need to feel complete, and the ego tries to fill this gap by clinging to people or external situations. But as Epictetus taught, it is not things themselves that disturb us, but our opinions about them. In other words, attachment is a mental construction, a belief that we need someone or something to feel good. When we realize this, we start to see the difference between genuine love and emotional dependency. Love is free and does not demand. In contrast, attachment imposes conditions and requires the other person or situation to be a certain way for us to feel secure. Why understanding attachment is crucial. The reason this is the first step toward emotional freedom is that by recognizing that attachment is a creation of our mind and not a real necessity, we begin to reclaim our inner power. When we depend emotionally on someone or something, we are giving that person or situation control over our peace and happiness. Marcus Aurelius said, "The happiness of your life depends upon the quality of your thoughts." This implies that our well-being should not be in the hands of external factors, but in our ability to find peace within ourselves, regardless of the circumstances. Attachment leaves us at the mercy of life's changes and losses, and it makes us prisoners of our insatiable desires. By understanding the nature of attachment, we can observe it objectively and realize we don't need to cling to anything external to be whole. When we learn to see attachment as a choice, not a necessity, we begin to regain our emotional freedom and build a peace that doesn't depend on what we have or who is in our lives. Stoic Reflection Exercise 1. Reflect on the object of your attachment. Think about a person, situation, or thing you feel attached to. Ask yourself, what do I gain from this attachment? Why do I feel I need it? Dig deep into your answers, looking for whether your attachment is based on the fear of being alone, the need for validation, or the desire for control. 2. Observe the illusion of control. Attachment often arises from the illusion that we can control something that is, in fact, beyond our control. Marcus Aurelius wrote, "Remove dependence on what you cannot control." Write down your thoughts on how the desire for control limits you and how it has led to emotional dependencies that prevent you from living in peace. 3. Visualize a life without emotional dependency. Imagine how your life would be if you could free yourself from this dependency. How would you feel if you no longer needed that person or situation to be part of your life? This exercise is not about eliminating love or appreciation, but about remembering that your peace and happiness should not depend on external factors. To remember, your worth is not in others. Understand that your peace and value lie within you. Remember that real love does not depend on conditions. Attachment, however, is a demand of the ego that can be overcome. Detachment does not mean loving less. Freeing yourself from emotional dependence does not mean distancing yourself from people, but rather loving them without attachments and respecting each person's individuality. Start by recognizing attachment as an ego creation. This process requires patience, reflection, and, above all, the willingness to see beyond the illusions of control. Remember that this first step is just the beginning of a profound transformation. As you move forward, you will discover that detachment is not only possible, but also liberating. Every small effort you make to break those emotional chains brings you closer to a fuller life, guided by true love and the peace that arises from within. Rule number 2: ignore our ego. Our ego is a powerful force that seeks to keep us safe, validated, and in control, but its influence can often be misleading and destructive. The ego tends to create illusions and distortions of reality, making us believe we need external validation or that we are less than others. When the ego takes the reins, it can lead us to idealize people, placing them on an unattainable pedestal and generating feelings of inferiority or emotional dependency. Imagine a common situation. You meet someone who seems to have all the qualities you wish for. The ego, in its quest for validation, makes you think this person is special or better than you, leading you to depend on their approval or affection to feel complete. But what is behind this distorted view? The Stoics teach us that we are all human, and that the differences we perceive are a construction of our mind. No one is superior or inferior. Each person follows their own path with their own strengths and weaknesses. How to apply this rule to maintain detachment and inner peace? 1. Question idealization and seek reality. Idealizing others is one of the ego's traps. Ask yourself if you are seeing someone from a realistic perspective or projecting qualities onto that person that they do not truly possess. Marcus Aurelius said, "Observe things as they are, without prejudice or opinions that distort the truth." Practice seeing others as equals, recognizing both their virtues and flaws. This not only helps you maintain detachment, but also fosters more genuine relationships. 2. Develop self-esteem from within. The ego leads us to seek external validation, but real self-esteem comes from knowing and valuing ourselves. Take time to strengthen your sense of self-worth, reminding yourself of your achievements, strengths, and unique qualities. Practice self-affirmation in a Stoic way, knowing that even if no one else tells you, you are enough as you are. Epictetus taught that the only judge of our worth should be our own conscience, not the approval of others. 3. Recognize that fulfillment does not depend on others. When we are attached to someone, the ego makes us think our happiness depends on their presence or approval. However, the Stoics teach that peace and fulfillment come from within. Reflect on this and remind yourself that no one else can complete you. True fulfillment is only found in your relationship with yourself. Fourth, let go of the fear of loss. The ego generates fear and attachment, making us dread the possibility of losing those we idealize. Instead of living in fear of loss, the Stoics teach us to accept the impermanence of everything. Just like life itself, every relationship and experience is temporary. Cultivate detachment by understanding that although someone may be important to you, your well-being should not depend on their constant presence. This is liberating and allows you to love and connect without desperate clinging. Practice gratitude and perspective. The ego tends to focus on what we lack, on what we should have, or on what we want to obtain from others. To counter this, develop a daily gratitude practice. Appreciate what you have and recognize that although the ego always seeks more, peace comes from valuing what you already possess. Remember that gratitude is a form of detachment because it helps us focus on the present and let go of the desire for control. How to practice ego detachment in your relationships. 1. Breathe before reacting. Whenever you feel the ego taking control and leading you to compare yourself or need approval, breathe deeply. Take a few seconds to remember that these thoughts are just constructions of the ego and do not reflect reality. Visualize how you release that need for approval. 2. Keep a journal to observe ego thoughts. Writing is a powerful tool for recognizing and questioning ego thoughts. Every night, reflect on the moments of the day when you felt inferior or in competition with others. 2. Ask yourself if these thoughts reflect reality or if they are distorted by the desire for validation. By questioning them, you'll see how the ego loses its power. 3. Remember the power of self-sufficiency. Emotional detachment strengthens when we understand that true satisfaction comes from our relationship with ourselves. As Seneca said, "Do not seek outside what you can find within." Self-sufficiency is a pillar of Stoicism, and each time you practice this, your detachment grows. Emotional freedom arrives when we stop pursuing external validation and start valuing who we really are, without the need to compare ourselves or seek recognition from others. Detachment is the key to living in peace, knowing we are complete and sufficient in our own essence. Rule number 3. Leave the past behind. One of the greatest challenges on the path to detachment is learning to let go of the past. The Stoics teach us that clinging to what has already happened is like holding onto a rope that burns our hands. Although it hurts, we don't dare to release it for fear of the unknown. However, the act of letting go is actually an act of courage, one that frees us and allows us to move toward a fuller future. The past often acts as an emotional anchor. Perhaps you have experienced relationships that left deep marks, or memories of mistakes and losses that still haunt you. Through Stoic philosophy, we can understand that the past is a story that has already been written, and although we cannot change it, we can change how we interpret and carry it with us. Marcus Aurelius said, "If it hurts because of what happened, the pain does not come from the thing itself, but from your interpretation of it." This teaching invites us to review how we interpret our past and not allow memories to become obstacles in our current path. How to apply this rule to achieve emotional freedom. 1. Question the power you give to the past. Each time a painful memory returns to your mind, ask yourself, do I really need to relive this experience? Remember that the past only has power over you if you allow it. The Stoics invite us to view the past with detachment, recognizing that we can't change it, but we can choose how we let it influence our present. Second stop, idealizing past moments. It is common to idealize the good times of a past relationship or stage, forgetting the difficulties that also existed. By doing this, we create a distorted image and cling to false nostalgia. Stoic philosophy teaches us that seeing the past objectively helps us let go of the fantasy that everything was better back then. Instead of focusing on what could have been, concentrate on what is and what you can build now. 3. Define your own concept of happiness. Often, attachment to the past stems from the belief that our past experiences held true happiness. But what is happiness to you today? Reflect on what you truly desire in your life now, rather than chasing a happiness that no longer fits in your present. Detachment is the first step toward building a life based on your current desires and needs, not projections of the past. 4. Recognize the lessons and move on. Leaving the past behind does not mean forgetting or ignoring what you've learned. Rather, it means integrating those lessons into your life without carrying the emotional weight. Epictetus said, "Difficulties strengthen the mind as labor strengthens the body." Past experiences have value because they have taught and shaped you. Accept these lessons and move forward without allowing the pain of the past to define your present. 5. Practice gratitude for the here and now. Stoicism invites us to appreciate the present moment and focus on what we have now. One exercise you can try is to make a daily list of things you are grateful for in the present moment. This not only helps you value what you have, but it also reduces nostalgia and emotional dependence on the past, anchoring you in the current reality. How to apply past detachment in your life. 1. Remember that the past does not define your future. The Stoics believed in the capacity of people to renew themselves every day. Don't let past mistakes or wounds limit your opportunities for growth. The next time you find yourself tempted to think, "What would have happened if?" remember that the only moment that truly matters is the present, and you can always build something new and better from now on. 2. Develop a proactive approach to the present. Each time you find yourself trapped in past memories, use a proactive focus technique. Breathe, observe your surroundings, and choose an action you can take at that moment to move forward. It could be something as simple as going for a walk, reading a book, or writing about your current goals. This type of practice reminds you that you have the power to direct your attention to what truly matters. 3. Change your perception of loss. The Stoics teach that nothing in this life truly belongs to us, and losses are part of human nature. This thought is not resignation, but acceptance. The next time you feel sad over a loss, remind yourself that nothing is permanent, and that what matters is the experience you had, not its duration. This approach allows you to remember without attachment, honoring what was, without letting it affect your present. 4. Reflect on the freedom of letting go. Imagine the past as a weight you carry in a backpack. As you empty it, you feel lighter and have more energy to move forward. When you learn to let go of negative emotions and painful experiences, you gain the freedom to live more fully and consciously. Learning to leave the past behind is an act of self-love and respect for your personal growth. Life is full of experiences, some bitter and some sweet, but all of them are designed to teach you something. By detaching from what has already happened, you give yourself permission to live in the now and build a life that truly reflects you, free from the shadows of the past. If you've made it this far, it's because you're ready to free yourself emotionally and regain your inner peace. Subscribe and comment. My freedom is in my hands to reaffirm your commitment to a life of balance and strength. This is just the first step toward an existence free from emotional chains. When you reach the 6th rule, you'll discover a crucial change that can transform how you handle relationships and detachment. Don't miss it. It could be the key you need. Let's continue. Rule number 4. Question the value of happiness. To free ourselves from attachments, it is essential to ask where true happiness actually comes from. Can it depend on someone else, or does it originate within us? The answer to this question can deeply transform us, helping us understand that true worth and happiness should not be conditioned by the presence or approval of another person. According to Stoicism, peace and happiness are found in our ability to develop a strong character and a resilient mindset, free from the fluctuations and opinions of others. This concept can be especially liberating when we try to let go of someone who has been important in our lives. The Stoics invite us to let go without resentment, not out of coldness, but because they recognize that the most important relationship we have is with ourselves. When we understand that personal worth doesn't depend on any person or external situation, we stop being prisoners of the need for external validation and gain an inner freedom that allows us to act with security and peace. How to apply this rule in your life? 1. Reflect on your source of happiness. Ask yourself honestly, what truly makes you happy? Is it someone's presence, or is it personal growth and mental peace? This type of reflection helps you separate emotional dependence on a relationship from the true source of happiness. It's important to remember that no person can or should be the sole reason for our joy. Stoic philosophy reminds us that peace is cultivated within us, not through others. 2. Create your own peace and self-confidence. Marcus Aurelius used to emphasize the importance of finding strength in oneself, not in external circumstances. Imagine that you're a tree with deep roots. If you depend on the weather or seasons to keep you standing, you will always be unstable. But if your roots are deep, you will stand firm no matter what happens around you. Such is our inner peace when it depends on our ability to see worth in ourselves, not in the interest of others. 3. Eliminate the illusion of external approval. The need for external approval is a trap that limits our emotional freedom. When we constantly seek someone else's approval, we become vulnerable to their opinions and behaviors. Epictetus taught us that we should not place our well-being in others' hands, as this makes us dependent on factors beyond our control. True emotional freedom comes from trusting ourselves and our decisions without depending on anyone's approval. 4. Practice emotional detachment. Detachment doesn't mean indifference or lack of interest. On the contrary, it's a process of learning to love and value without needing to possess. Like a gardener who cares for their garden without expecting every flower to be perfect at all times, detachment allows us to enjoy our relationships and experiences without clinging to them. We focus on our own growth, creating an inner environment that flourishes regardless of who is or isn't in our lives. How to practice this mentality of detachment? 1. Develop a self-valuation journal. An effective practice is to write regularly about what you value in yourself and your achievements. Note the aspects that make you feel proud and strong. Writing about your qualities and progress reinforces your self-esteem and decreases the need for external validation. 1. Little by little, this habit strengthens your emotional independence, helping you understand that your worth doesn't depend on others. 2. Set healthy emotional boundaries. Practicing detachment doesn't mean distancing yourself from others. It means building a space of self-respect where you can grow and develop without feeling absorbed by others' demands or expectations. Define what is acceptable and what is not in your relationships. These emotional boundaries not only protect your well-being, but also strengthen your ability to love without losing your peace. 3. Find joy in emotional self-sufficiency. True emotional freedom lies in the ability to find joy and satisfaction on your own, When you learn to enjoy your own company and to experience happiness without needing others, you develop an unbreakable inner stability. Practicing activities that allow you to connect with yourself, like art, meditation, or exercise, fosters this self-sufficiency and makes you less emotionally dependent on others' presence. 4. Reflect on Stoic teachings. Stoics, like Seneca and Epictetus, reminded us that happiness is not something someone else can give us. It's a daily choice to live with serenity and purpose. Spend time reflecting on impermanence and remember that every relationship, every moment, and every experience is unique but also fleeting. These reminders prepare us to appreciate without attachment, cultivating an inner peace that is not affected by external circumstances. Questioning the true source of your happiness is an act of courage that allows you to discover that, ultimately, everything you need to feel fulfilled and happy already resides within you. Letting go of the constant search for external validation is a path to emotional freedom, where every step you take brings you closer to a more confident and serene version of yourself. Rule number 5. Practice indifference. In the midst of the whirlwind of emotions we often experience, Stoicism offers us a powerful tool: indifference toward what is beyond our control. Epictetus reminds us, "Do not grieve over what you cannot have. Rather, rejoice in what you do have." This attitude, far from being apathetic or cold, is a way of focusing on what is essential and freeing our minds from unnecessary worries. Stoic philosophy invites us to distinguish between two fundamental concepts: the circle of influence and the circle of concern. In the first, we find our thoughts, our actions, and our reactions, everything that is entirely within our control. In the second, however, are things that escape our control, such as others' opinions, someone's behavior, or even the weather. Often we confuse these two circles and end up draining our energy and inner peace over matters we ultimately cannot change. Practicing Stoic indifference means focusing on what we can truly transform and stopping ourselves from worrying about what is out of our reach. How to apply indifference in daily life. 1. Identify your circle of influence. Reflect on what is really under your control. Ask yourself if what you're feeling or thinking depends directly on your actions, or if it's influenced by external factors. If someone leaves your life or confronts you, is that something you can control? The answer is no. What you can control, however, is how you react and what you choose to do with your emotions. 2. Accept what you cannot change. Accepting the unchangeable is an act of humility and strength. Understanding that not everything in life depends on us allows us to let go of the tension of trying to change everything. Epictetus taught that life is a mixture of things we can change and things we simply have to accept. Learning to distinguish between the two will help you save emotional energy and build much greater resilience. 3. Practice acceptance without judgment. Practicing indifference is not avoiding what happens around us, but seeing it without judgment. Instead of thinking, "This should be different," simply accept reality as it is. This is a deep lesson the Stoics used to face even the most adverse circumstances. By not resisting what happens, you allow situations to unfold without getting emotionally involved, maintaining a serene mind. 4. Seek learning in every experience. One of Stoicism's principles is to extract lessons from every experience, whether good or bad. Indifference is not a passive act, but an active practice of wisdom. When facing a challenge, ask yourself, what can I learn from this? Adopting this mindset makes you more resilient and allows you to see each situation as an opportunity for growth. Practical examples of Stoic indifference. 1. Personal relationships. In relationships, It's easy to get caught up in seeking approval or needing others to give us the security we seek. However, remember that you cannot control others' decisions. By practicing indifference, you maintain balance and mental peace without clinging to what others do or don't do. 2. Work situations. At work, you may face criticism or situations that don't please you. Instead of letting this affect you, ask yourself, can I change this situation? If not, it's better to focus on what is within your control, improving your skills, adopting a positive attitude, and moving forward with your own goals. 3. External and uncontrollable events. Stoic indifference is helpful in the face of uncontrollable situations like the weather, news, or even politics. Instead of worrying about things you can't change, devote time and energy to what you can truly influence, whether it's your personal growth, your decisions, or how you face daily challenges. How to maintain the practice of indifference. Cultivating indifference requires patience and consistency. It's not easy to let go of worries, but over time and with practice, you'll find you can free your mind from unnecessary burdens. A recommended practice is to review your thoughts and concerns at the end of the day and write them in a notebook. Then, analyze how many of these concerns were really under your control and which you could simply have accepted. This daily reflection helps you train your mind to prioritize what truly matters. Stoic indifference is a tool of liberation, a shield that protects you from life's ups and downs and allows you to focus on what truly matters. It's not about being insensitive or disinterested, but about recognizing and respecting your limits. By focusing your energy on what you can change, you free your mind and heart from unnecessary burdens, making room for true growth and inner serenity. Practicing stoic indifference will allow you to live in peace, focused on the essential and free from the weight of the uncontrollable. Rule number 6. Reevaluate your attachment. Does this person align with you? Emotional detachment is a path that allows us to live healthier and more authentic relationships. To reach this state of emotional freedom, it's essential to ask yourself if the people you connect with truly align with your values and life principles. In this sense, Stoicism invites us to be honest with ourselves and reevaluate the connections we maintain. The importance of knowing your values. Your values represent your core principles, the inner compass that guides your choices, conduct, and worldview. By clarifying your values, you become more aware of what makes you feel good, what drives you to grow, and what provides you with peace and meaning. Epictetus and other Stoic philosophers taught that when our relationships don't align with our values, they can become sources of conflict and anxiety. Therefore, reevaluate your attachments by asking yourself, does this person respect and reinforce my values, or do they bring me to a state of confusion and discomfort? Differentiating relationships that add value from those that take away to strengthen emotional detachment. Start by identifying people who positively contribute to your life and those who, on the contrary, generate negative emotions. Relationships that add value are those that respect and value you, inspire you to be better, and support your personal goals. On the other hand, relationships that take away are those that constantly leave you feeling frustrated, anxious, or insecure. These are clear signs that the person or relationship isn't in tune with your well-being and personal growth. How to apply this reflection to move forward in Detachment 1. Practice deep introspection. Take time to reflect on what truly matters to you. Ask yourself which values are non-negotiable in your life. It could be integrity, empathy, respect, or growth. By knowing your values, you can discern which relationships align with them and which do not. 2. Evaluate your current relationships. Analyze how you feel with each person in your life. Do they inspire you to grow? Do they encourage you to reach your goals? Do they foster your peace of mind? Or on the contrary, do you feel drained, anxious, or constantly in conflict? True connection happens when you can be yourself without fear of being judged, and when the other celebrates and respects your essence. 3. Set clear and healthy boundaries. To cultivate detachment and live in peace, it's essential to learn to set boundaries. Sometimes this boundary may mean reducing the time you spend with someone, firmly saying no to certain requests, or even deciding to distance yourself from people who don't respect your values. These boundaries aren't walls of isolation. They're an act of self-love and respect for what you value. Detachment as a liberating process. When you choose to surround yourself with people who share and respect your values, you're creating an environment that nurtures your well-being and growth. It doesn't mean you have to cut all ties with those who don't match your values, but rather be conscious of their influence on you and act according to what you truly need. In doing so, you experience an inner freedom that allows you to relate without unnecessary attachments. Practical examples for living this reflection. 1. In friendships. If you have a friend who constantly belittles your dreams or makes you feel like you're not enough, consider whether this relationship truly adds to your life. Remember, a genuine friend supports, encourages, and celebrates you. 2. In romantic relationships. Often, emotional attachment arises when we depend on the other person's validation. If your partner doesn't share or respect your fundamental values, like respect, honesty, or empathy, this can create emotional disconnection. Reflect on whether you're clinging to this relationship out of need or genuine compatibility of values. 3. In family or work environments, you may not be able to cut all ties with people in your close environment, but you can learn to set limits that protect your peace. If there is a co-worker or family member who constantly creates conflict, keep the interaction at a level that doesn't affect your inner peace and respects your boundaries. Recap: the benefits of living. According to your values. Emotional detachment doesn't mean distancing yourself from others or being indifferent. It means learning to relate from a place of balance and serenity. When we reevaluate our relationships and select those that align with our essence, we discover genuine peace and mental clarity that allows us to live without fear of losing or depending on others. Acting in accordance with your values attracts people who value and enrich your life, and teaches you to let go of those who prevent you from living in harmony. The Stoic teaching reminds us that true value and true happiness come from integrity and coherence with our deepest values. Practice this detachment and let your life fill with relationships and experiences that align with what truly matters to you. Rule number 7. Work on emotional self-sufficiency to avoid dependency. Emotional self-sufficiency is a fundamental skill for building a life where well-being and happiness don't solely depend on the presence or approval of others. The Stoics teach that true strength comes from within, and that emotional dependency on others only makes us vulnerable to instability and suffering. Cultivating emotional self-sufficiency doesn't mean living in isolation or rejecting human connections. It means learning to live in peace with yourself, to find security and satisfaction in your own essence, without constantly seeking external validation. Independence as a process of self-discovery. Developing emotional self-sufficiency is a journey of self-knowledge and personal growth. As we explore who we are, we find that we can find satisfaction in our own being. Epictetus and other Stoic philosophers emphasize the importance of this self-sufficiency, because only when we are at peace with ourselves can we connect authentically rather than from a place of need. Building a strong foundation of self-esteem and confidence makes us more resilient and less susceptible to life's adversities. Key elements for cultivating emotional self-sufficiency. Self-compassion. Being kind and understanding with ourselves during difficult moments is essential. Accepting that we're human, that we make mistakes, and that we have limitations frees us from the pressure of constantly seeking perfection. Self-compassion allows us to see ourselves with empathy and treat ourselves with the same kindness we would offer a close friend. 2. Gratitude and mindfulness. Practicing gratitude helps us focus on what we already have, instead of fixating on what we lack or think we need from others. Mindfulness anchors us in the present and helps us face difficult emotions without being carried away by them. These practices remind us that inner peace is a choice we can make every day. 3. Setting healthy boundaries. An emotionally self-sufficient person understands the importance of saying no when necessary and setting boundaries to protect their well-being. This involves recognizing and respecting our needs, not sacrificing our well-being to please others. Knowing when to withdraw and prioritize self-care is an act of self-love. Benefits of emotional self-sufficiency in our relationships. When we cultivate emotional self-sufficiency, we not only benefit personally, but also improve our relationships. By no longer depending on others for our happiness, we become more authentic, capable of connecting without expectations or the need for validation. Relationships become deeper and more genuine because we're in them by choice, not by dependency. Emotional self-sufficiency allows interactions to flow freely, without the pressure of others filling internal voids. Navigating life with a solid inner foundation. Emotional self-sufficiency also prepares us to face life's inevitable disappointments and losses with greater serenity. A strong inner foundation gives us the balance needed to handle these difficult situations without feeling completely destabilized. We know that although external circumstances change, our inner peace remains intact. This approach helps us accept life as it is, with its ups and downs, without clinging to the need for others to provide emotional stability. Practical examples to strengthen your emotional self-sufficiency. 1. Time alone. Dedicate quality time to yourself. Engage in activities you enjoy without the need for company, like reading, walking, or practicing a hobby. This time alone reinforces the idea that you can enjoy your own company and that your happiness doesn't depend on others. 2. Practice. Positive affirmations. Every day remind yourself that you are enough just as you are. Repeat affirmations like, "My happiness depends on me," or "I am valuable regardless of others' opinions." These affirmations strengthen your connection to your essence and help you build a positive and healthy self-image. 3. Evaluate your social circle. Observe if you have relationships that encourage emotional dependence. Reflect on how you could establish healthier boundaries in those relationships and focus on those that truly support you. Surround yourself with people who respect and value your emotional independence. Emotional self-sufficiency as a source of freedom and fulfillment. Being emotionally self-sufficient frees us from the constant pursuit of approval and allows us to live in harmony with ourselves. This independence isn't synonymous with isolation. Rather, it enables us to form deeper and more sincere connections with those we choose. Emotional self-sufficiency invites us to live from self-love, accepting our strengths and weaknesses, and understanding that happiness doesn't depend on external factors. Stoicism reminds us that our strength and peace must originate from within. By taking responsibility for our emotional well-being, we discover a life full of serenity and self-acceptance. If Stoicism resonates in your life and you feel that this content nurtures your path toward greater wisdom and balance, join our exclusive members community. Your support not only allows us to continue creating content, but also helps us impact and transform the lives of more people who need this knowledge and guidance on their journey. More details in the pinned comment. Let's continue. Rule number 8. Meditate and reflect to achieve a healthy emotional detachment. Emotionally disconnecting from someone can be a challenging process, and to do so healthily, it's essential to dedicate time to introspection and meditation. These practices not only help us find inner peace, but also provide the clarity and balance needed to process emotions that bind us to relationships or situations that no longer benefit our well-being. Stoic philosophy teaches us the importance of looking within to understand our emotions and strengthen our character, and meditation becomes an invaluable tool in this process. Introspection as a tool for self-knowledge. Introspection invites us to explore our emotions and thoughts honestly. Taking time to reflect on what we feel allows us to identify the mental patterns that keep us unhealthily attached to others. By sincerely asking ourselves, why am I holding on to this person? Or, what am I seeking in this relationship? We have the opportunity to unravel the roots of attachment. Through this practice, we can observe whether we're seeking external validation or if there are deep insecurities that lead us to emotionally depend on others. Meditation as a path to detachment. Meditation, in turn, is a powerful resource for learning to manage our thoughts and emotions with greater skill. When we meditate, we learn to observe our internal experiences without judgment, giving us the strength to accept and eventually release what no longer serves us. By developing a consistent meditation practice, we begin to see our emotions as passing clouds. They are there, but they don't define or control us. This practice helps us gain emotional distance and avoid being carried away by intense impulses or automatic reactions. Practical exercises for meditation and introspection. To apply meditation and reflection in the process of detachment, here are some effective techniques. 1. Mindful breathing meditation. Spend a few minutes each day focusing on your breath. Concentrating your mind on each inhalation and exhalation calms the nervous system and helps reduce anxiety. This practice teaches you to stay present and not get carried away by thoughts about the past or future. 2. Journaling or reflective writing. Writing about your emotions can be a liberating exercise. Reflect in your journal on the reasons for your attachment, your fears, and what you truly desire in a relationship. 2. Writing gives you the opportunity to see your thoughts from a more objective perspective, allowing you to analyze your patterns and make conscious decisions. 3. Visualization of release. Imagine the person you wish to detach from in a peaceful setting and visualize both of you moving towards a state of freedom and fulfillment. This exercise can help you release any resentment or expectation and wish the best for both of you. Emotional and spiritual benefits of conscious detachment. The practice of meditation and deep reflection also increases our emotional resilience. As we become more aware of our needs and desires, we develop the ability to set healthy boundaries in our relationships. We learn to recognize what truly contributes to our well-being and become more cautious when opening our emotional space to others. This approach is not only beneficial for detachment from a specific relationship, but also helps us build future relationships based on authenticity and mutual respect. The connection between meditation, clarity, and purpose. When we meditate and reflect regularly, we strengthen our self-awareness, enabling us to make decisions that align with our values and personal goals. Instead of clinging to relationships that lead us away from our purpose, we learn to let go with peace, knowing that we're building a life centered on our true aspirations. Marcus Aurelius, in his Meditations, reminded us of the importance of acting in harmony with our principles, and meditation is a tool that allows us to connect with our inner self and the meaning of our actions. Inner peace as a new starting point. Meditation and reflection offer us an internal refuge where we can find comfort and clarity. Instead of seeking answers or relief externally, we learn to trust our wisdom and ability to heal. The peace we achieve through these practices becomes a source of strength that accompanies us through all stages of life. Whether we're in the midst of emotional turmoil or facing other challenges, we know we can return to this place of serenity to find the answers we need. Emotional detachment, in the end, isn't about disconnecting from the world, but about deeply connecting with ourselves. Meditation and introspection provide the space needed to heal, strengthen, and move forward with renewed purpose. With each meditation session, we take a step toward a more conscious and fulfilling life, where we free ourselves from unnecessary emotional burdens and embrace the power of living at peace with ourselves. Rule number 9. Learn that nothing in this life is eternal. In the vast river of time, where each moment flows and transforms, nothing remains unchanged. The seasons change, flowers wither, and, like all living things, relationships are also subject to inevitable change. This principle, though it may seem harsh, reminds us of one of Stoicism's most liberating truths. Impermanence is a natural law, and embracing it is key to our inner peace. Accepting it doesn't mean resigning or falling into indifference, but rather cultivating serenity and strength to live each moment intensely without clinging to what we cannot control. Marcus Aurelius tells us, "Everything that exists is in a state of continuous flux. What we see today will not be the same tomorrow." This teaching, far from being pessimistic, invites us to enjoy what we have while we have it, knowing that nothing in this world belongs to us permanently. Epictetus, for his part, provides guidance for finding peace in this reality. Don't grieve over what you cannot have. Rejoice in what you do have. This teaches us that our relationships, like everything in life, are fleeting, and we must accept it. Anguish arises not from the nature of things, but from our expectation that they remain unchanging. Facing transience with a stoic attitude helps us cultivate greater emotional strength and resilience. Living in constant fear of losing what we value is like holding onto a rope with all our might, fearing that if we let go, we'll fall into the void. But if we dare to release it, we discover that our hands are free, open to receive the new, the unexpected, and the valuable that change can bring us. Stoic philosophy teaches us to focus on what we can truly control: our actions, thoughts, and attitudes towards life's circumstances. Instead of clinging to a person, situation, or past moment, we can choose gratitude for the good times and lessons from the difficult ones. This acceptance of temporality allows us not only to fully enjoy the present, but also to face the future without fear or anxiety. By understanding that nothing is eternal, we find the freedom to live without attachments and to let go when necessary. Thus, the pain of a farewell becomes gratitude, and the emptiness of an absence transforms into an opportunity for personal growth. If we focus on what we can change and accept the unchangeable, we discover that every change, no matter how difficult, is an invitation to transform and evolve. Accepting the ephemeral nature of our experiences, relationships, and achievements doesn't weaken us. It strengthens us. It makes us resilient navigators, able to adapt and flourish regardless of circumstances. This Stoic wisdom encourages us not to look back with nostalgia or forward with fear, but to live with gratitude and presence, knowing that every farewell is a welcome to new possibilities. Rule number 10. Taking care of yourself will help you immensely. Self-care is one of the fundamental pillars for building a balanced and healthy life, especially when we need to set emotional boundaries and distance ourselves from someone who no longer positively contributes to our lives. On the path to detachment, physical and mental well-being must come first, because only from a state of internal balance can we make clear decisions and remain strong in the face of adversity. Taking care of yourself involves consciously nurturing your body and mind. Nutrition is key in this process. Choosing a diet rich in nutrients, filled with fruits, vegetables, lean proteins, and whole grains, not only improves your physical health, but also directly impacts how you feel daily. The body needs this support to maintain vitality and energy, helping you face each day with a renewed and positive attitude. Pairing good nutrition with regular exercise is essential. Beyond its benefits for physical health, physical activity is a powerful regulator of emotions, a natural antidote against stress and anxiety. By moving your body, you release endorphins and create a state of mental clarity that strengthens your resilience. Adequate rest is another essential component of self-care. Getting a good night's sleep isn't a luxury. It's a fundamental need for mental and physical recovery. A night of restorative sleep allows the brain to process the day's emotions and experiences, facilitating the handling of complex situations with greater serenity and objectivity. By resting well, you give yourself the opportunity to start each day from a place of calm and mental clarity. Spending time on activities that promote emotional well-being is also a crucial part of self-care. This may include practicing meditation, reading, spending time in nature, or even taking a moment to breathe deeply and connect with the present moment. These activities strengthen your connection with yourself, giving you space to reflect and understand your emotions. Emotional clarity is vital for detachment, as it helps you recognize which relationships contribute to your well-being and which do not. Setting personal boundaries is another act of self-care, a manifestation of self-respect that protects your inner peace. It's not about isolating yourself from the world, but about recognizing your needs and allowing yourself to prioritize them. Knowing when to say no when necessary, limiting contact with people who don't contribute positively, and respecting your times of rest and recovery are ways of affirming your value and dignity. These boundaries allow you to interact with others from a place of fulfillment without sacrificing your personal well-being in the process. By prioritizing your health and taking care of yourself, you're building a solid foundation from which to face life's challenges with greater strength. The practice of self-care provides you with the tools to live consciously, with clarity and balance. On this path, detachment ceases to be a daunting task and becomes an act of natural self-respect. Freeing ourselves emotionally from someone is, in essence, a profound act of self-knowledge and self-acceptance. What truly binds us to that person? Is it love, fear, or a version of ourselves we haven't yet been able to let go of? Sometimes attachment disguises itself as love, but in reality, it's a need to cling to something external to avoid facing our emptiness. True freedom begins when we look within and realize that what we think we lose in the other already resides within us, waiting to be discovered and strengthened. Perhaps the path isn't to escape the pain, but to learn to listen to it, to observe what it wants to teach us about who we are and who we want to be. Can we, instead of seeing detachment as a loss, recognize it as an opportunity for growth? Let's reflect on this idea. Each time we let go, we create space for new versions of ourselves, for fuller relationships, for a life where peace doesn't depend on someone else. So the final question is this: are we ready to face the challenge of letting go, not as an act of abandonment, but as an affirmation of our strength? Because in the end, Only when we release what doesn't belong to us can we find who we truly are. I'm excited to hear about your experiences of overcoming this topic. Share your victories, your challenges, and your stories in the comments. If you're unsure what to comment, write, "My peace depends on my decisions," to show that you've completed our session. Don't forget to subscribe if this content resonates with you and your values for living with Stoic wisdom. Your voice is essential here. Each reflection strengthens and elevates our community, reflecting the true value of each individual and contributing to our shared Stoic identity. Are you ready to face life with a stronger and more peaceful mind? The Path of Wisdom, Modern Stoicism for Daily Life, will give you the keys to developing resilience, clarity, and balance every day. Click the first link in the description for a 40% discount and start your journey today toward a life of wisdom and inner strength. If Stoicism resonates with your life and you feel that this content nourishes your path to greater wisdom and balance, join our exclusive members community. Your support not only allows us to continue creating content, but also to impact and transform the lives of more people who need this knowledge and guidance on their journey. More details in the pinned comment. We'll see each other in our next meeting in Stoicism for Winners, where we'll continue to explore the riches of Stoic wisdom applied to modern life. Now take this opportunity to expand your understanding of Stoicism with new recommended sessions. Until we meet again, remember, you are the sole owner of your perception, the creator of your peace, and the warrior of your own battles. This is the legacy of Stoicism, the art of being invincible.